first 12 people that I was student teaching with, I told y'all I thought I would be the one to go. There are 4 of us left in the profession. 4 are real estate agents. One is a banker, one sells instruments. They've all moved on to other things in their lives because they hit a moment where they said, I don't think I can do this anymore. I don't feel the passion for it anymore. Now, if you really don't think you're ever going to get it back, then it probably is a better thing for the students and for you to move on. But what hurts so badly is when I see these people who are now selling houses that were selling music, and they were good at it. They weren't just teaching to the contest. They were actually really gifted teachers. And there's nothing wrong with selling houses. If that's your passion, you should follow your passion, absolutely. I'm a firm believer in that. But if your passion is working with kids, then selling a 2-bedroom house is not going to cut it. I mean, it's great for the paycheck, but it's not going to make it happen for you in your life. You're not going to find happiness doing that. So how can you burn out through your career? First, you have to understand the difference between stress and burnout. And I'm going to get into all of these things as we go through this. You have to have a plan to bulletproof your happiness in your job. You've got to be able to learn the art of job crafting, and I will absolutely talk about what that is. And then you've got to be able to set some long and short-term goals for getting there. We're all familiar with setting goals. We teach kids every day. We have our goals that we set for them. We have our goals that we set for our programs. And we all sit down, I know, and we go, where do I want my program to be in 5 years? So we're all very good at setting those long and short-term goals. But I think a lot of times we lose sight of doing it for us in our career. We do it for the kids because that's where our heart is. But we forget about us. It is so important that we have a plan for ourselves. You know, and I mean, even if your goal is, I want to stay at this school, I want to retire from this program after I've been here for 30 years. I applaud you for that. And that is wonderful. But I know you don't want to be at the same spot in 30 years that you were on day one. All of us, we want to have a drive. We all have a desire to go somewhere. Otherwise, you certainly wouldn't have spent all those hours practicing to earn that degree, to pass those juries, to give that recital. So what is burnout? First, you have to understand burnout is not stress. Stress is a temporary experience. Stress is, oh my God, we just had our dress rehearsal and it was god-awful. Like, I'm not even sure they knew which end of the horn they were supposed to blow into. And I mean, I had one of those. Last spring, my youth orchestra students were playing Capriccio Espanol, the whole thing. And I thought, oh my God, we can't keep a steady tempo things. It was a bad dress. I should also add on top of that, our concerto winner was playing the first movement of the Barber Violin Concerto. Somebody shoot me now, 85 different tempo changes in it. And we were opening with West Side Story. Whoa. It was a horrible dress rehearsal. The concert, by the way, was phenomenal. But the dress rehearsal, boy, did that put some stress on me. And I think I gained a few gray hairs over that one. That's stress. That's a temporary situation that's brought on by whatever circumstances you're going through. And you all go through it, you know, your students know you do. Because about that 2-week time period before contest, right about pre-UIL time, they're like, oh my God, just stay out of her way. She has become evil. Yeah. So we all go through that. That's a temporary thing. And you know it's temporary when the UIL contest is over with and you're hoisting that plaque and you see the joy on your kids' faces and you're ready for the spring. Oh my God, we get to play Under the Sea now. I can't wait. If you're getting excited about that, man, you know you have not lost your passion. That's not burnout. Burnout also isn't something that just happens to you overnight. It's like a slow leak on a tire. So it creeps up on you. So when you hit that wall and you finally realize, oh my God, I'm so burned out. I don't even want to get out of bed anymore. when you're coming home in the evening and your first thought is, I need a bath and a beer. That's the only thing that's going to solve this right now. That's when you know, maybe I've gotten to a point to where this has become more than just stress. When you're feeling that way, and there is no contest on the horizon. You know, it's October. And you're just, oh my God, I've got to get to June. How am I going to do this? That's when you know it's probably a little bit closer to burnout and a little less about the stress. I think this is probably the most important thing up on that slide right now. People who are suffering from burnout are not weak individuals. That is an enormous myth. The truth about burnout is it most often happens to very high type A personalities. That's the God's honest truth. The people like me who are like, I literally cannot sleep if the music in my library is not loud. Like, I can see the table in that library room and it's a pile of music everywhere and I know it's not organized. And it makes me crazy. 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm waking up over this. If you are this kind of person about anything, about, oh God, those unanswered emails. Right now I have a little stress on me. I have 2 emails that I have to get to today. I'm feeling it right now standing here going, oh God, I have to take care of that. If you're that kind of type of personality, you tend to be more prone to burnout because we're perfectionistic. It's also what makes us really good educators because we pay attention to details. But it also makes you a little more prone to that, to extra stress. Treating burnout does not require that you go become a waitress at the Olive Garden. It does not require that you go become a banker. It doesn't require that you get out of the profession. There's a way to get out of that cycle of burnout that doesn't require leaving your job. And I hate to tell you this, but coming to TMEA is not going to cure your burnout. It will alleviate it for a little while because you get to get away from it. And the great thing is you get to connect with your colleagues, and that really helps a lot. But then when you get back into the day-to-day grind, it's right back there. It's your old friend, ready and waiting to greet you the second you walk in the door. That's depressing. That just kind of adds to it. So it's really important to understand the symptoms of burnout before you can kind of self-diagnose. And you don't, by the way, you don't have to have every one of these symptoms to be suffering at some point along the burnout scale. So chronic fatigue and insomnia is a big one. If you're just constantly tired, if you cannot get to sleep at night, this is a big sign that you could be suffering from some burnout. Forgetfulness. You'll want, at the height of my burnout, when I suffered burnout in my career, it was UIL day. I could not find my contest scores, my originals for the judges. You want to talk about a panic attack like none other that I've ever had in my life, like literally head between the knees. I mean, it was bad. They were in my desk drawer where I knew I had left them there. I forgot that I put them the one place where I knew they would not get lost and they would be ready to go. Thank God for my orchestra director friend who was in the band hall with me that day, who said, sweetheart, they're right here. Back then it was okay to call you sweetheart. Yeah, it was all right. If you're suffering physically, now I do understand that the flu, strep throat, stomach bug, everything's been floating around Texas ridiculously, but if you're just jumping from disease to disease to disease, I mean, you just cannot seem to kick it. A lot of times that weakened immune system is a sign that you could be burnt out. I don't know if any of y'all were in Anthony Maiolo's clinic earlier. He said he was getting ready to conduct an orchestra, and he had no voice, he couldn't even talk. He was like, guys, let's just kind of get through this, right? At the end of the 2-hour rehearsal, all right, guys, I'll see you tonight. There was a doctor in that orchestra who said, oh my God, music was your medicine. Listen to you. You sound fantastic now, and you couldn't even talk at the beginning of rehearsal. That's somebody who's definitely not lost their passion for what they're doing. Loss of appetite. I would also add to loss of appetite, overeating. At the point that I was really burnt out in my career, I gained 40 pounds, like in a semester, folks. I was talking to a friend of mine last night. There was a convenience store that was right across the street from our orchestra room, and they had all the Dr. Pepper and zingers that I wanted. Oh yeah, yeah. And then if you're feeling like you're having a lot of anxiety, just like if you're beyond taking the anxiety pills before you go out onto a contest stage, I'm talking about anxiety on a day when you shouldn't be feeling anxious. Snapping at your students, at your spouse, your significant other, your children, for no apparent reason, because you just can't handle it. It's just been bottled up for so long, and that you start taking it out on the people around you. These are signs, all of those, of burnout. You also tend to see that a lot of people who are burnt out are really cynical. They develop just a cynicism about the job. And man, you just talk to them and you're like, man, now I'm brought down. I mean, it's just that loss of enjoyment, that constant pessimism. The one that really got to me was the isolationism. It wasn't as bad when I was teaching in the band classroom, but as an elementary music teacher, when I taught elementary music, it was a struggle. And as an orchestra director on 4 different campuses, the isolationism got to me. There were times I would literally just pick up the phone and call another director, a friend, just to have a conversation with somebody in the day that was older than 12. Yeah, I'm just not a big fan of Pokemon. And if I hear another Minecraft story, if you're feeling hopeless, or you just don't care, you're just apathetic, if you're irritable, lack of productivity, this is the one that hits me when I'm really burnt out. I know I have 80 things to do, but watching NCIS is a little more entertaining. I don't even want to have to think about the piles of work that I have sitting on my desk. So why does it happen? Why do we get burned out? This is from a study that was done just a few years ago in 2012. But a lack of perceived administrator support can be a big one. I worked in a building one time with a principal who just didn't like women. I mean, that's probably not PC for me to say, but he would walk down the hallway and he wouldn't look you in the eye. He would not say hello to you. I thought maybe it's just me. And I called a couple of friends who had had this principal at their school before, and they said, oh no, he's like that with all women. This is just who he is. It was miserable, folks. It was bad. Frustration with your students. A lot of times, and I would say I have a passion for low SES kids. I have worked in low SES schools my entire career. Every job I chose to work in areas where I thought I could have the greatest impact. But what that does is it tends to wear you down faster, because you're not just that kid's band director, or orchestra director, choir director, elementary school teacher. You are also their counselor. Sometimes you're their ride to the concert or their ride home. Sometimes you're sitting there and you're trying to help them decide what they're going to do with their pregnancy. Sometimes you're trying to convince them that we have to go talk to the counselor and you have to report your parent for the abuse that's going on in your household. It's rough. And sometimes you're actually providing shoes for them, because the only shoes this little girl has worn to school are her father's size 12 with 3 pairs of socks shoved in the toes, because that's all they had. And sometimes, I've actually done this, you take them into your home and you provide a roof over their head until their parent can get back on their feet again. It'll wear you down though, particularly if you don't have the right resources around you and the right outlets to help you deal with it. But the people that he polled also said that they didn't have they lacked a professional mentor, somebody they could get on the phone and just, oh my God, I have this problem, I need a solution. Thank God for Facebook now. I'm going to tell you, I love the String Orchestra and Teachers website, or page on Facebook. I love the band director page on Facebook, because you can post questions and within an hour have 85 solutions to your problem. And it really feels like this community of people that, oh my gosh, somebody cares. Somebody else has been through this and they can help me out. But having a mentor is so critical. And then the isolation. They also listed poor community relationships, like maybe you just don't feel like you're getting support from the parents for your program. And then he also found that those that left the profession most often were those with lower college GPAs, which tells me a lot as a college educator that we have to really take a hands-on approach with those music ed kids and help them out and make certain that they've got the assistance that they need to get through the program and not be a complete mess when they graduate. Not already be burned out before they even walk out the door to teach. So how do we burnout-proof our career? And how do you set the long and the short-term goals that you need to get there? So I have my top 10 pieces of advice on burnout-proofing your career. This is all, by the way, the handout is exactly like this, okay? So it is the PowerPoint, basically. I did that on purpose, y'all. I hate taking notes in clinics when it's not on the, I'm trying to write stuff down off the screen and then it's gone. It drives me crazy. That's my type A personality coming out.
Thank you for the handout.
You're welcome. And so if you go onto the TMEA website, as long as you pay for your clinic and everything, the handouts are free. But the number one thing I can say is be positive. Okay? I have actually been called Susie Sunshine because 8 o'clock in the morning class, let me tell you, college kids hate 8 a.m. classes. When I was in college and I would roll out of bed for my 8 a.m. class, it was 7:50. I lived in a dorm hall across the street from the band hall. It was 7:50. I would get up, throw my hair in a ponytail, throw the sweats and tennis shoes on, run downstairs, grab a biscuit, out the door, and I would be at class at 8. Like, I have to learn percussion techniques right now. I mean, could there be a worst possible time of the day for that class? 8 a.m. To this day, I remember that. I also remember that the percussion instructor was no happier about being there than I was. I stayed positive, though, through my 8 a.m. classes when I was as a teacher because I want the kids to be excited. I'm teaching, last school year, I was teaching beginning string methods for a bunch of band and choir students who were like, oh my God, this is 8 a.m. in the morning and these things squeak really loud. But if I'm not excited and if I'm not passionate about what I'm doing, nothing I try to get through to them is going to sink in at 8 o'clock in the morning. They don't care. They really don't. They're like, I just need to get this class on my done with a passing grade so I can get out of here. Well, how sad if we have our kiddos coming into us for an 8 a.m. varsity band rehearsal and we're like, all right, warm-ups. I mean, that's not going to excite anybody. So to be positive, yes, I'm a coffee drinker. I am. You can tell that I've had my coffee because when I've had my 5 cups of coffee, I am raring to go, man. There is no one more excited about teaching you the D major scale on a cello than me. I am very excited and passionate about what I'm doing, but I love teaching instruments. I mean, there's something so cool about teaching anybody beginning on anything. Because to see the passion that they have that first time they put that clarinet together, and it's actually right. And the first time that they actually pull a bow across the string, and it didn't sound like they ran over a cat. I mean, there's just nothing cooler than that, guys. That lights my fire. That gets me going. You get to choose to be positive, even on the world's worst day. And let me tell you, there's going to be crappy days. We've all had them. You're going to have those days where you pick up the phone and it's your dad saying, your mom was just diagnosed with cancer. Or it's going to be your husband saying, I don't want to be married to you anymore. Or your wife. Or it's going to be finding out that your child is a type 1 diabetic. Man, life sucks sometimes. How do you get up and get in front of your class and be positive? For me, it's about setting that stuff aside for a little while. for just a little bit, I get to take the problems and the weight of the world, and I get to set it aside, and I get to go be with some kids who I may be the best part of their day. I might be the joy in their day. Think about your special ed kids, those special needs students, who most of their elective time is taken over with tutorials, remedial courses. If they're walking into your band or orchestra hall, you may be the only time that they're not having to sit at a desk and write all day long. I owe it to those kids to put a smile on and for just a little bit walk away from my problems and share with them something that I love and I'm passionate about, and maybe pass that on to that kid. You know, because no matter how negative even your worst teaching situation is, here's the positive. You will survive until June. You will make it. And I'm sure there are people in this room who've had that job where you're like, oh my God, every day I just have to tell myself, I can get to June. I signed the contract, I'm going to fulfill my duties, I will get to June. At that point, we'll figure something else out. The cool thing